Hello everybody, Cody here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to have a lot of fun very easily inside a blender using the path curve. So we're going to be making this car here drift today. So we're going to be learning two things: how to animate on a path, and we're going to be learning how to do a path. Now this is extremely simple to do, and this is very useful for, say, a car. For example, say if you're going 120 miles an hour, you don't want your animation to slow down in certain parts and speed up, like the car's the motion of it and stuff like that. We want it to be one constant speed. So this is the best method to be doing this. So what you want to do is make sure you have a car imported into your scene, or any object. You can just use a general cube or something if you're just looking to follow along really quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure we're in object mode with nothing selected. We're going to come down into curve, and we're going to be adding a path. Okay. So now you're going to see this cool little line right here, and don't click anywhere, you might lose track of it, but it'll always be right there in the origin point. So the first thing we're going to want to do is jump with that selected, jump over into edit mode, and you're going to notice we don't know which direction this is going. So we're going to come up in here to the viewport overlays button next to two little circles there that are overlapping. We're going to go to the bottom and enable handles, and that's going to enable the arrows and show us the direction we're going. So we're pretty much ready to go to start making our track. We're going to select the one vertice. I'm going to press 7 on my numpad because I want it to, be top down. I don't want it to be going up and down off the ground. So what I'm actually going to do first now is select the first vertex here. And then what I'm going to do now is just press E and drag my mouse. Okay, this is a Bezier curve, so what this is going to do is add this curve right here in between your sharp corners, which is actually very, very handy. I figured when I first got into this, I was going to have to start smoothing it like Unity, and which can be very complex sometimes, but in this we don't have to. So what we're going to do is go like this. We're just going to get a good curve in here. I'm going to make a nice tight corner for him to hit a drift. Maybe something like that. And then he's going to continue off. Just like that. And we're done making our track already, which is super simple, right? So now what we can actually do is go into object mode again. We can just go back down under a 3D view here. Now we have to start tinkering around with our car here, right? So I just want to make sure that the origin point is inside of the car, or sorry, in the car. That way, when we do it, it's not just like hanging off the side or something. So what we're actually going to do is select the car, select the path. We're going to press Control P, and then we're going to hit Path Constraint. And that's going to lock our car to the path. But as you see, the origin point of the car isn't following properly. So what we have to do is click the car only. We have to come down into our Constraints tab, and you're going to notice this section right here. So this is what's going to allow us to correct the orientation. I usually just do it manually. I'll show you that way I find is best. But if you notice, when we play, nothing happens right away. So if I just bring up my timeline, nothing is playing through right now. That's because we didn't hit follow path. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of move him onto the line. And then what we have to do is hit animate path. And what that's going to allow the car to do when we hit follow path is to keep its orientation. And when we hit animate path, it's just going to tell it, which direction to go. And as you see, that's quite fast, which is still pretty good. So I'll show you how to fix that as well. All you really have to do is change the amount of frames that are on your curve itself. So I believe that's down here. I'll find that for you shortly, but there is a way to change how fast that can go. You can just Google it very quickly. But anyway, we're going to go back into the constraints modifier here. We're just going to make sure everything checks out. So now we're pretty much good to animate this. So what I'm actually going to do is turn on my auto keyframe button. What I'm going to do is turn on my rotation tool. I'm just going to nudge it a little bit. So when he comes to about this corner, about there, I want them to start turning inwards. So if I just click, you see that it adds that and it fills in the keyframes in between. So we're going to come into like a really good turn here. Something like that. Even like that. Nudge it just a tad. And we're going to start to correct the car. Just like that. And that's all you have to do to get your car to drift. So now if I replay it for you. You see that we got a wicked drift on that car, and that actually looks really good. We probably could have went a little bit of an extra distance, so what we can actually do is just delete that last keyframe. Put it up a little bit, and then corrects further up the timeline that way. So I could have just pushed that up. We can probably even give it a little bit more of a realistic look if we, let me just get a little bit closer into here. So he's coming out of his drift. We'll make it nudge like that, and then instantly correct itself like that. Just like that. So now if I go, let's zoom in a little bit. I'll play it all the way from the beginning. He goes around, does his drift, and turns out. See, and you'll notice that he just keeps going off the map. You can set the amount of frames that continues for, so we'll end up setting it for 100, and it'll stop at 100, right? But I find it funny when you do that. Another thing you can do if you want to create looping tracks, so this is very handy too. I'm not going to do it to this one because it'll ruin all the keyframes we just did, but what I'm going to do is go into edit mode. You want to press A and select all of them, come up to curve, and then you want to hit toggle cyclic, and that'll make this a closed loop, and it'll just keep going around in circles. So the next thing we can actually do is add a plane. So we're pretty much done with the animation part of it. I'm going to turn off auto keyframe. This will be our ground that he's driving on. Right, and then what I can actually do is go N, and then I can come up in this cool little plugin called Blender Kit. I can go to materials. I'm just going to pick a material. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's tons of categories, right, and a lot of them are free, especially the materials. So we even have roads and stuff we could use. But in this case, I'm just going to use some rough terrain, right? I'm just going to concrete it. So I'm not in shaded mode right now, but if I do flip over into there and wait for the textures to load, you'll notice that this concrete did show up in our scene. What we can do is go into UV edit mode, I believe it is. Find that texture we were using, because all the car textures are here from the Sketchfab model that we downloaded, which is so unfortunate because a lot of people on Sketchfab do that crap for some reason, so it gets extremely annoying when they make like a billion textures when you only need really like one or two. But anyway, so we got that good to go. What I can actually do is just kind of stretch it out. Right? And we can add an HDR. We can go outdoor. Just going to find something like on a salt flat. So now we got an HDR in the scene. We'll wait for it all to update and load. Maybe I can make this a little lower, like that. So we are in cycles, which is pretty good. Denoise. You can use whatever textures, right? So this is about the point in time that we would be animating. What you can actually also do as well is you can add a camera and make it follow the car along a path too, right? So you could get some really good camera shots out of that. So as you see, we have a drifting car. And that's all that takes to animate cars. You can do this with characters, blocks. It really doesn't matter. But if y'all like today's tutorial, please do like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And I got plenty more and a lot more fun tutorials coming in the future with some free add-ons and some free plugins and all that cool jazz and some models for 3D printing. So again, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon in the next video. Have a good night.